now Nova have to fight off against 4 angry men. They've been close by for a while now, and Jimmy is able to get an opening knock, but Chingchen able to look for more as a trade happens across the way. Order down, backs off the hill. Jimmy and Paraboy looking to try and re-envelop Order into the fold.
Smoke's going out, providing Chingchen with a little bit of base of operations here. Moves down, tries to spot the player behind the wall. Gives it the pre-spray there, but won't find anything much more. Order, I think, has now regrouped. Players from Nova up front, providing that backstop. Svan, the back there, the veteran from 4am, looking to put more damage through towards Nova's side.
Oh, Jimmy catches an ankle. Not going to do too much, but certainly opens up the possibilities here. Frozen is going to break out wide, but Jimmy gets a lovely angle through the window, and it's another one to go down for 4 angry men to leave them out 14th place, 5 eliminations. Jimmy is resible, but they'll have to crawl forwards. The blue zone not going to be able to heal out on that one, and you can see Paraboy lobs him over the shoulder. The lift to the circle keeps him alive.
Wonderful stuff there from Nova. Really, really good understanding of the map and the terrain. It's the only way that happened so cleanly, and they knew they had to finish out that fight quick, considering how close
The circle starting to develop. Yuhai heard this engagement, made the operative decision to head down this way and maybe hold out a team that's just come out from the back of a pretty hefty engagement themselves in Nova.
With the time that they've been given, Nova are going to be able to regroup quite effectively. Anti, oh no, finds Solus lying in wait for whatever reason for Fireflux. The DRS are down now, so S2G, the only team that can look to really push realistically in this game. Nova on the east, sure, they might be able to make it. Alpha 7 actually as well with a shot over on that western side, but to be honest, S2G's position is so powerful. Look at the high ground that they have. It's just so difficult to deal with for any team nearby.
S2G, said it before, very strong here on Miramar. Great at finding these positions around the map. Fireflux, lose one more in the process. There's another going down. Some great long shots there. Over towards on board with Alter Ego.
Alter Ego will have to push a little bit closer to the next zone as well. Fireflux fall on the south side. Alpha 7 to the north of Alter Ego. And where do Alter Ego go now? Because S2G are going to spot everything they do as soon as they want to move. Alpha 7 there to catch them if they move north. IHC crunching them in on that south side. It is brutal for them on the southwest. Nova squeak in on the northeast side in the meantime.
Good stuff from them. Difficult run for Nova, but they've found themselves a position to play from. Oh, great news. Snipes already moving further towards the center. Wolves locked in combat right now.
Vampire trading off, remember, does go down. Ravenclaw knocked, but safe for now. For the time being, Hick Feet close by, spotted over the hillside. Fluke tries to go for the spray, but he hits the deck and fades the shots there. Vampire playing together, playing solid. Beautiful though, finds a little bit of an opening, tags it on, and finds a second knock onto Vampire. Fluke tries to control the ridgeline, but it's just not going their way. Two Stocks not going to be able to do anything as there's a second player from Wolves to move through. And what a push coming in. Beautiful, beautiful over that ridge. 5 eliminations for the Wolves, and Vampire cannot stand up to the test.
Clean engagement from Wolves there. Vampire looked like they were doing so much better already with 2 stops in the fold. They just get crumbled by Wolves on 3 different angles. Wolves just play through the pressure. 7 eliminations already on this game. Looking to end their Miramar strongly. S2G still playing out the game slowly. Now looking over towards IHC. Incredible spot for them. Very difficult to play against this position from S2G. The circle moves further down towards the southwest. It's almost a guaranteed S2G win.
Will be difficult to wrest it from their control. But how far can they go? They sit 15 points behind lobby leaders Inco. A chicken dinner would see them there, and the eliminations would see them even further. IHC trying to roll over the top now into Alpha 7 sightlines. Mafioso and Carrillo lighten teams up left and right. Will have the forward position in Carrillo to be able to regroup towards as well as they control these teams on the south. Alter Ego, this is the difficult push that we were talking about before. Fnatic lobbing that nade up towards Alex to try and isolate an
Oh,
angle, but
dear.
Alex sends one back and it's good for 2. And not only that, it's good for the 9th place finish of Alter Ego.
Circle centers up, still doesn't matter. Even if the barest ridge side of this spot from S2G still in, it will give them major control over the majority of this match. Stalwart will give the Pump some more numbers, down in 15th place. Really not the PMGC they were looking for, not the PMGC we expected from them either. Nova though, taking massive amounts of damage. This is always going to be a difficult push and they want to go for something drastic.
But they are here now, which is really quite great news. If Geek Fam fall out on the push, Jimmy might survive for quite a while yet on the side of Nova. S2G with the high ground though, need to start to put the pressure in. Only one elimination so far. Kengzo wants to put a nade up towards that ridge line, cooks it up, doesn't find the knock. And looking to suppress it as well. Didn't really find too much damage there either. Buradam trying to move away from them, but really can't do that. Sky Only somehow manages to lead out into the field, but actually gets backed off by Revo from Alpha 7 from the north side. A little bit maybe overzealous on the rotation. Top from Godlike Stalwart, spots Sky Only rocking up to his shack, and actually he's not going to waste any time in just going straight out into the field. Sky Only under pressure from all angles, but Top, you can't afford to be out in the open like that, not when everybody's looking your way. Sky Only has a nade in hand, but there's one coming through. Oh wait, no, hang on a minute, that was from himself. Okay, I thought that was from Top, but no, it does go up in flames, and it is actually Pika to get the point.
Stalwart looking very dominant on this northern side. To push even further down. Buradam, great chance in this game. Really given an opportunity here, John, and done next to nothing with it. Mine MP being away from the rest of the team. Now Kengzo going down to some great shots coming through from S2G. Now starting to really leverage this position of theirs.
Nature of Godlike Stalwart towards Alpha 7, who have themselves been quite the terror on this northwestern side. Moving over the ridgelines, Top wants to go for a spray, but Pika has already fallen and doesn't really have the cover on that flank that he needs to be the force on this 2-2 split. Mythic over the side of that ridgeline around the tree. A lovely nade to the back, over onto Mafioso for Top, and he's still holding strong for now. Doesn't really have so much mobility with the sightlines that S2G hold, but Alpha 7 are going to think twice now about pushing around this sideline. A nade over the top doesn't really go far enough, and Mafioso can get rezzed here. Mythic close, crawling in towards Top on the UMP. And hits the deck in the smoke, wants to go for the heal now. Carrillo has the nade in hand and wants to pull the pin. Smoke actually just being redeployed in front of Mythic, and they can keep this ridgeline. Molotov in hand, Top launches it towards the back lines, but Mythic is close by. Top fades it away. Ooh, he's playing it super sneaky. I think he's been spotted. Mythic tagged.
Stressful scenario now for Alpha 7. Mythic in a real tough spot. Stalwart looking to just keep them on that side. S2G have to break away now. Have they done enough to clear enough space out from this south side to give them an easy exit? Silas, one of the best players of the team at the moment, sends out wide. Should have spotted this player quickly. Goes to the final from Buradam. Tries to finish it off. Will do. As Buradam United down. And S2G with a clean sweep the southwest side. Moving up towards this crate. This is a perfect opportunity for them now.
The Wolves have one of the few positions that can really slow them down, but the zone will push them off it soon enough. The question is, what can they do before that happens? Can they get an opening towards S2G? Alpha 7 gets spotted out by Razine. Mythic taken super low and starts his movements forwards in the buggy and stays alive for the time being. Just that sliver of HP keeps him in and actually allows Alpha 7 to have 3 players moving central. They've already given up on Mafioso. Wolves have to move from that position, and they will move up north and swing out to sweep against Geek Fam as Memory swings out wide on the ridgeline, and Pit Feet leapfrogs over the top of him to put more damage through. 1-2, 1-2, and through. Memory pulls them back to mortality.
Great stuff there. Memento is all Geek Fam were at the end of the day. Sift past them. Looking over towards Nova, still in the match in stage 7. Only 5 teams remaining, so again, a decent result for them. Alpha 7, push this one a little bit further. S2G do not want to allow another one of these games to slip, considering they had such a good start.
The direction of the shack for Jimmy, I mean, I said it before, is going to allow him to survive for a long, long time. GeekFan did not push up into it, and now Wolves are fairly decimated. They've managed to achieve 10 eliminations, though, in the meantime, so a phenomenal result for them towards the top. Now, S2G looking to just continue this pressure as they push in from the south. Alpha 7 have got some solid spots to try and defend from, though, as Silas moves up close and personal to Revo and Mythic. Has got a nade in hand. Will know that those vehicles are there. Should be able to place it nicely. Mythic will receive the brunt of the damage, but can start to heal that up very, very quickly. The rest of S2G will have sightlines, and they'll know that there's a player by this rock now. Bandages only, and only the one for Mythic. Those stims not going to last too long, and he's no helmet either.
Yo.
Throwing those bandages over from Revo, actually going for a second deployment as well. Such a crucial position, and Carrillo steps up for Alpha 7 to move Silas back. Slow S2G, but they've already taken down one player from Wolves, only Pigfeet remaining.
Looked like a good grenade over towards Alpha 7, but a bit too short here from Stalwart. S2G taking a lot of casualties at the moment, a lot of damage going their way. Still have a really strong spot on the top of the high ground. I think maybe Silas' position was a bit overzealous there. Gets forward, and maybe he's able to be that player that is the cobra in the grass. But Hamzy G's gonna go for it, and this is a mistake. This is the biggest mistake we've seen all day.
Gets cut down in the process. Alpha 7, though, 3 eliminations this late in the game. It wouldn't be a big chicken dinner, but it would be a great way to give them confidence to come back in and keep this momentum going. S2G likely now down to 2 players on this south side. No team at full force. Pigfeet playing in the shack. I think he might just be able to stay in this next circle. Will do so. Has to hop out the window if he doesn't want to take blue. Oh no, wait, he's already on the outside. I thought he was on the inside, but no. We'll be able to move forwards on foot. Godlike Stalwart, 3 players on the northern edge. Trying to challenge out Alpha 7.
Razy and Kelsey now have to really work hand in hand. If S2G want even a chance in hell getting up towards that top 2. Stalwart tossing the smokes out, breaking the train. Good shots from Alpha 7 though, and Stalwart's picked to pieces.
Mythic pulling them apart there on the push. Top already down, action low. Scry. The only one really healthy at this stage for Godlike Stalwart. Ooh, action so close to going down there. Managed to get the first aid off just in time before it tickles too much. Mythic close. Loves crawling around in these smokes. Nades over the back and a Molotov to slow down that ridge line. Will pop the nade further back and Revo suppressed. Carrillo up the top, going to be pivotal in this engagement. Mythic needs to land a shot as well. It's traded 1-for-1. Scry with the blue zone coming through, goes for the flush instead, and now Carrillo can look to stand up, spots Scry, and takes down Godlike Stalwart. But that is an excellent go time for S2G themselves. Klausy and Razy, the last 2 players. Find Revo at the back, and S2G looking to step up tall. Carrillo over the ridge line. And but with an assist coming in from Godlike Stalwart on the north side, they pull it back together, and with that, they strike out for the top of the table.
A couple of mistakes at the end there. You can see the relief as well. They thought it might have cost them, but Razy and Kelsey bring it through at the end. Some real clutch movers there. Necessary to keep them in it. I think Hamzy G going for that res though had to be the boldest move we've seen all day. Just roll.
As well, both of those teams will be very
wonderful stuff. That's going to give them a real boon coming in tomorrow, knowing that, you know, by the end of the day, they're still lacking some points. If they want to get towards that #1 spot, take home the grand title for Turkey, you know, there's always Miramar still available and ready to give them those points that they need.
How cool would that be to have a defending champion team at next year's PMGC? But they've still got a whole match and an extra day to play through if they want to maintain that spot at the top. They were 15 points behind Inco at the start of this game. I think they had 8 or 9 eliminations there on top of the chicken dinner, so they will have cleared that hurdle. It is now definitely within their wheelhouse to keep this one turning.
Absolutely. S2G has looked like a good powerhouse during this tournament so far. these past 2 days, it's been nice to see, you know, they've been consistent, they have that firepower behind them. You love to see it. It's the kind of thing that is going to keep this team running into tomorrow, and I don't think they're going to run out of gas tomorrow either.
Oh, seemingly they've been winding up, and they have been ramping up over the course of the matches that we've seen from them, and it's a brilliant way to be able to operate in this tournament. However, it is, I would say, always easier to have a goal than it is to maintain a lead. So in that respect, maybe they could falter, and maybe that could give Inco the boost, the push that they need.
Yeah, being ahead is sometimes like a double-edged sword, right? It feels good because you have that buffer between you and some of the other teams, but you don't necessarily have that pressure on you, which is going to push you forward to really hit those big numbers towards the end of the day. I think that maybe S2G would love to be in second place, because it seems like on the chase they are something else, man. They're like a dog with a car racing down the road, and they're looking for that registration plate, or in this case, the PMGC trophy.
It's quite the thing to be
Don't know
looking
why
for.
it's on the back of the car, but
It's got to be somewhere, doesn't it?
it's got to be somewhere.
You've got to put it somewhere. At the moment, I think.
That's where it is.
Or it
currently.
was on the stage yesterday. It's not there anymore.
There is a car round Jakarta.
It was just
with the
there.
trophy.
Someone moved it.
Yeah,
They moved it for that martial arts display earlier.
True, which is very cool.
Yeah.
If you missed it, check it out.
Definitely.
Here we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, anyway. It's late.
Okay. Yes, it is. But yeah, that is a really, really great performance. I would say from Alpha 7 as well, right? Because we talked about S2G. Alpha 7 controlled so much ground there. It was unfortunate that the third party came in from Goblike Stalwart when it did.
Yeah.
But this is a team that, remember, we were saying had slipped.
I think that the game could have been so much easier for S2G if they hadn't sent Silas out that far. I think with the high ground that they held, that game was practically impossible to lose with the 4-man on the top side. Silas is kind of playing it just a little bit too cheeky, in my opinion, taking up that position. It gives you an opportunity to get more of those elimination points. If that's what they're going for, they wanted to pump up as many points as possible. So going into tomorrow, they had a really good points lead. Obviously, we still have one match remaining over on our angle, but fair play if that's the case. Again, though, you losing that opportunity at the chicken dinner off the back of that, and even Hamzy G going for the US play, really boggled my mind. I was very happy that they still got the chicken dinner in the end, because everything up until that point, I was like, this is good, this is good, this is good. What are you doing? What are you doing? This is good, this is good, this is good. That's kind of like the thought process. It was really from 100 to 0 back up to 100 again, all down to Razy and Calci, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, they did manage to capitalize, but I think I would say that with Alpha 7's performance there as well, I would say they are back in this very much so. They did have a lot to play with at the end of the first day. Towards the end of the second day, they have now managed to regain some of that momentum. Hopefully they can push through for this final match and put themselves back in that top bracket and in contention for the title.
Absolutely. I mean, that would be a fantastic thing to see at the end of the day. I think there are some other teams down below as well that I'd like to start seeing perform even better. T2K, for instance, we were talking about them saying that look, it's a team that, you know, really has kind of slipped underneath the radar, but they keep putting up some decent points. It's not like they're out of the picture yet. GeekFam also, another team that does have these moments of greatness, but it is just them going out a little bit too early. I think that does kind of come off the back of what the team is and how they play, which is hyper-aggressive. They're all over the place. They're a very quick team. Like they're just darting around a lot of times. Doesn't necessarily bring you the greatest of success, just because they don't feel very tactical. They just feel like it's quite whimsical, but with just a lot of skill behind them, which is fair enough. I do like watching them. But I think some more of that thought process needs to come into play for GeekFam right now.
I think in general this lobby has been such high-class performance in terms of decision-making.
All different kinds of manners as well, which is really, really nice to see. We've got like the teams that just quick on their feet. We've got the teams that have some great game sense. We've got teams that are just hyper-tactical. I mean, I'm looking at DRS, for instance. It is phenomenal to watch, phenomenal to see here at the PMGC.
Absolutely, they have been such a treat to watch all of these engagements coming through and to watch this lobby develop. I think the one thing I would like to see is, even if they can't make it through off the bottom of the tables too hard, is Vampire do well in a game, because we know that they have it in them.
That's the frustrating thing,
And
right?
I feel like it's so close. It's been there nearly a couple of times, but it wasn't to be. This time around, it was S2G with their bid for the top of the tables.
S2G coming in clutch in match number 5, ladies and gentlemen, here at the PMGC Grand Finals. 24 points for them. They are back on the leaderboard. And just like S2G, in terms of being back, Alpha 7.
Yep.
Number 2.
77. And with 7 eliminations too. 19 points total. I mean, this is what I was hoping to see out of them earlier, but I'm glad that they're finally deciding to pick it up right now before the day ends. We'll love to see it.
I found it really funny during that game. And in that sense, you know what? A second place for a game like that, I'll say that is a big win for Alpha 7. But we did have a few questions. Do they still have it? That's a good point.
They definitely still have it, and I mean, this might be the bounce back, and this might be the stretch that they can put themselves forward, moving into tomorrow as well. By the way, Wolf Esports, Godlike Stalwart, for them to be up there too. Teams that definitely need the points if they even want to get to reach top 5 tomorrow. That's what you love to see. And now we have S2G Esports moving to first place, 119 points. Finally getting that elusive chicken dinner, as earlier they weren't able to do it, but they were able to put up a lot of eliminations.
Crazy performance coming in from S2G. And you were just talking about A7, right?
They pick up a few eliminations here and there. That's why I have the impression we saw a lot more of them today compared to yesterday, is even their bad games, they get a few points here and there. No, and it still like keeps them in that race for that top position, which is what you want to see for them to keep on pulling off until tomorrow, because that keeps them in that potential race.
Yeah, and since we're talking about Nova, you know what? I kind of want to stay within the Chinese region, and I want to talk about Wolves a little bit more, because we were seeing how they were playing. We were seeing the splits too. I personally, 10 points, and that is what I was saying. With Alpha 7, it's good that they decided to bounce back right now, because they put themselves within 3rd place.
Yeah, a lot of teams going to be joining the 100-point club right now, as S2G Inco Gaming, Alpha 7, and also the team of DRS Gaming. But yeah, got to be careful. Some teams can still catch up to that one. I said it multiple times during the broadcast, 7. It is so close, slowly been eking their way forward in the rankings.
Yeah, with T2K, I mean, they were able to pop off a little bit yesterday, towards the end, right?
Sandesh here too.
Yeah, top Wolves.
Hey.
Going all the way up to 9th place.
And Godlike Stalwart. I had a little bit I was going to do, but you know, I'm not going to do anymore, because they had a decent performance. So I get to see from Godlike Stalwart. There's still some fight in them right now, with the very nice points of 69 right now on their side.
Started off strong, had like 5 eliminations early in the game, and they got taken down by Wolves in a very convincing fashion. And that is when I saw your eyes just light up, 7, because I thought now's the time for Wolves. You just talked about them as well. So seeing them in 9th.
Because we were very critical about that one. Like the split, I understand it. If you want to compare Wolves to,
and that's what they decided to keep that split a lot longer than we expected to, than we wanted to. But if they can touch.
These teams in there, actually we did see Nova, but especially Wolves, because I was so surprised by how they started that last game that I would have expected at least one of you guys to put them in there.
Nah, we need to see better splits.
The splits.
Yeah,
that's the one. All about the splits.
Change it up, and then we'll start putting you in teams.
Like the splits make sense. That's the issue. The splits, like when we look at them on the face-to-face, it's like okay, that's good. just speed up the regrouping process.
Yeah.
That's the one small, because it's a small thing, but it's a pretty important thing to do splits correctly. If you take fights and you just split away, you're not going to win it. You're taking a 1v4.
You said it perfect. You just look at how Nova does those splits and then just pretty much mimic that.
Nova, your splits. No, actually, that didn't work as I wanted.
Whether the splits will be working or not, we will find out in game number 6, which should be the last game of the PMG Grand Final. Staying number 2. And who better to do it with than John Allen and Black? Take it away.
Thank you very much. We're going to get into Erangel now for, as he said, the last game of day number 2 here, with a new top dog on the top as well. S2G wrested control from Inco with that last game.
S2 good, looking extremely powerful over in these games of PMGC so far. Honestly, can't wait to see more out of them. I just think that they're really finding their momentum, finding that rhythm during these games. A lot better together as well. I think they're one of the few teams we see a lot of times take these collective movements. I think we're seeing a lot of this play of splits at the moment from a lot of these teams. S2G doesn't really buy into that. They're very much a squad-based team, which I really like. They play off one another very, very well. Looks like they're actually going to drop out quite early here. Head far downwards towards that south side. 4 AM obviously out early with Alpha 7 towards North George. Alpha 7 continuing with its adjustment, sending Mythic up towards that north side of Severny. Korea a bit further up towards Zaki. Again, one that I really, really like. Gives them more options available to themselves.
T2K dropping into Severny. Inco breaking out further. Buram already on the ground, probably heading out towards that east side. You imagine they cross either to Rosok or near Yasnaya. Nova split across Gatka. Silas is there as well. We get ourselves another northern circle, Blank, as it pops all the way up to the top here. Law out in the open. Kengzo and My Name P, you know what? They're going to leave him to it. Or are they? They're turning around. Are they going back? No, I don't think they are. They just want to get out of dodge, get to a position early.
Influence Kevin obviously heading over towards Yasnaya now, taking a stop off at the gas station, why not? Refill, refuel, all good to go. Influence Kevin, I think they've done a good job so far during this tournament, looking for a little bit more now. Stalwart heading towards Novo is a bit of a long run for them. Obviously not what we kind of expected from Stalwart overall. Just purely from this tournament, I mean, they have some of the most well-known players in the world in top and action. An extremely deadly duo. Scry, very, very strong too as a long-range specialist for the team. Just did not expect to see this team where they currently are. It's a little bit unfortunate. Hoping they can bring a bit more to the table tomorrow. Inco though, again, circle their way.
They're going to have a big old another shot at the top of the tables here, but S2G might be able to hold out the teams on that western side if they want to rotate up towards this coastline. The bridges near Georgia Pole will be treacherous with Alpha 7 and 4 angry men on patrol. So those teams out on the west, that's Nova, Fireflux, Vampire, Geek Fam, and the Wolves as well, who might look to break west to rotate up north, are going to have a tough time of rotating in to get further and deeper into this game. Geek Fam grabbing some of that loot, snaffling it up near the ferry pier. Inco on the northern side, quite far away from them, but no, I wouldn't say central on this circle. Interesting maneuver from T2K. They have moved 2 players down from Severny towards the gas station that holds the bridge near Yasnaya. It's a really, really strong spot.
Yeah, blocking off the rotation from Influence Kevin, even spotting out rotations coming through from Alter Ego as well. This is a decent play for themselves. Again, though, a very similar circle that everyone's played before a few times now in this tournament. Everyone should know kind of rotations that they'd like to make. I think 4 AM were much more successful this kind of circle when they moved out very early. And it looks like Ching Chen's already going to make that movement himself. Gets in a vehicle, sends away. I think when they waited a little bit longer last time, that's what led to a few of their players going down. I think they realized that as 4 players, they are very strong Very capable indeed. However, all still to bear here, because I think that 4 AM, first 10 minutes, bit scary, man.
It's pretty scary for everybody involved in this lobby, these first 10 minutes. I feel like the style that we've seen from this lobby has been dropping and going for a split a little bit early from quite a lot of teams, getting a lot of information, whereas in other lobbies we've seen, you know, drop in that location, stay as a unit. Sure, you might scout out that your one rotational path, but in general, you're going to be looking at that specific area of it, instead of what we're seeing here, which I think is general, more general awareness and selecting your route based on the scouting that you do, which is kind of, I guess, the other way around of doing it.
Yeah, well, I think this is like high skill level play, right? This is where a lot of teams towards those lower brackets of tournaments, that's a case of you have your set route, you have your ideas of what might go wrong on the way of that set route, and you plan around for that. But when you get to this caliber level, you have to make decisions on the fly. You have to figure out that this rotation might not work because of this and this reason, or with this new circle setting, in fact, this rotation is going to benefit us in the long run. We might not make it very often, but we've played so many circles at this point in time at such a high level. We know typically that we can make this adjustment right now and go for it, which is what we've seen a lot with Inco. That's what I like about them. When they're locked out of the circle, though, it doesn't necessarily favor them. I think this is what has made them quite successful here on our angle, is just the amount of these northern circles we've actually seen, and the amount of times they're able to get a quick drop-off on that side. They get to the ground running very quickly with these north to south plane paths too. And again, I think this is now a really good opportunity for them to bump themselves back up at the first place. Because I think for Inco, yes, there might be a little bit circle blessed this tournament, in fact in the group stage, but what you can't really say about them is that they don't work with this circle. They're absolutely good at finding that prio spot. Again, we mentioned earlier we'd like to see some more proactivity from them in that end game, less about just finding the perfect positions in the circle, going from there. But again, this is a really good chance for them.
S2G moving to the north side of the river fairly early on, so they will have that foothold nicely secured. Nova moving up from their Gatka split, looking to try and cross that river out to the west. Nobody in cube or holding firmly right now. IHC have their outpost north of the river, but they are not entrenched just yet, and Nova should find a fairly easy area to hold.
Wolves down towards that south side. DRS going to be down towards Milta. Budaram on that eastern edge as well. Our main teams that we're now really focusing in on at the moment: Nova, S2G, obviously Inco, Alpha 7 trying to bring things back. Influence Kevin still have a chance as well. These are our top teams. DRS 2 sneaking their way back in towards that top side of the lobby. And I mean sneaking. I think they're a very stealthy team, and they're good at that type of gameplay. It's what I like to see from DRS. I've seen them do it a few times before, and it works out very well. They're one of the few teams that has been successful with an edge play style. A lot of other teams have tried it, and it has not worked out for them. I think you need to be a special type of team to make this one work in this lobby.
4 angry men. They backed Inco off location. Now they can start to exert control on the southeast side of Severny. Close to 2K. Will be those southern neighbours. High ground, southeast side of shooting range. As they're playing possession of a valuable asset and location they've been able to achieve there. Alter Ego a little bit further down the hill. They are very, very central. Next circle, and this flank is a very, very important shift. It goes northwest. It encompasses shooting range in a central location and slap bang on top of Nova's central, strong, high ground area. Inco on the eastern side of things, moving very, very fast through the south of Severny. 4 angry men are a little bit ahead of them on the curve, and Alpha 7 are sweeping in on the northern side. IHC pushing up that western edge and looking to move up and into territory that they can find. Inco, though, drawn a little bit short controlling this compound. This is the compound they tried to push into earlier, but 4 angry men denied them access. They will now be able to hold on into it on the northeast side, and maybe a little bit further out than they might usually like, but they will be fine for now. They will be able to take control of it.
Bit of a difficult shift for a lot of these teams, heading up towards shooting range. Severny still in play. Inco has to move a bit further across. Alpha 7 moving early on towards that north side. Maybe a little bit hesitant about this one actually. Worried about the play that they made. Again, very central still though. Can move further down towards the south, and they currently hold that side, which is great news for them. Nova, able to flip their way in. Works out beautifully well for them. 4AM over towards the northern side, and Nova has caused a lot of problems for 4AM over the past couple of games. S2G currently got their 2-2. Rozok, as well as 2 players up towards Severny side. Perhaps S2G looking for maybe some players passing through, figuring out these rotations, but I do think that S2G needs to support some players to come to their aid. Now it's just 2 players versus the guys from Geek Fam.
U-High up towards the stairs now for Geek Fam. As Micah able to roll in for the backup with snipes as well. Damrud on the off angle, playing in the second building. Kelsey and Razy work cut out for them. This is what it takes to be at the top of the tables here at the PMGC, though, and Kelsey isn't going to let them go down without a fight. Kelsey finds one with a drop shot, and he swings for a second, it's huge, but Razy now left high and dry on the inside as S2G are split. The rest of the players from the team will have to come in a little bit faster if they want to try and save this one. The reses need to come through for Geek Fam if they don't want to go down here to Razy as he drops for a second time around. A nade in through the door, and it's brutal. 3 players now sprawled at the feet of S2G, and there's the backup that they were looking for. This is a #1 team from Turkey. They are fighting for the top spot, and they are giving it one hell of a go. Micah last to stand and will fall down. S2G with 3. Still in the thick of it.
What a crazy play coming there through from S2G with 2 players holding down the fort with only 1 casualty as well. Such a surprising turn of results there. This is why S2G is currently on top. T2K on that top side looking to divert some more points. Another northern shift on the circle. Inco with this one as a wolf. Influence Kevin also in a good position. Alpha 7 here as well. A lot of the usual names, the usual suspects.
DRS, 2 of them dispatched. Buram blast them away. 4 angry men now in the thick of it against the Wolves, who have had a bit of a resurgence today themselves. Strong performances, high elimination games that we've seen from this squad. 4AM want to try and channel that power, memory on the ridge line. Taking the vehicle out itself, doesn't want to go up in flames with it. Remember, not to flush for the Wolves. 4 angry men retain control now in the hillsides to the southeast of shooting range. Stay up in the shack.
Player did hit the deck, but quickly res back up again. Fireflux moving through. This edge side again. DRS did suffer. Look for a cheeky way in. Doesn't always work out. That stealth can be broken, it seems. And none other than Buram. Fireflux, on the other hand, with a battering ram approach, sends directly into the circle, loses one on the approach. That's to YHC. They'll just send further in. Happy to play the rest of this game out with just 3 players. The last game of the day.
Fireflux tumbling down the hillside and soulless right into the crosshairs of Beautiful. 2 players left from the Wolves, but they will not go down just yet. Fortunately, though, T2K have an answer. They've played from Severny before and they've got punished for leaving it early. This time around, the position that they've managed to take, very nice for them. T2K with a lot of power here in this circle. They don't have any eliminations just yet, but I'm sure they're just around the corner if they play their cards right. Nade from Lutz finds Beautiful, and it's traded off. Alpha 7, hang on a minute. They've moved in from the northwest.
Sticking to the guns in shooting range. And that's what we like to see. T2K trying to take this a little bit further now. One player went down, quickly res back. Fireflux taking some serious casualties at the moment. An awkward position to play. This is always an awkward position to play. This is very much last resort. You send in, it's more than likely you're going to go down. I think most of the times I see this circle, I see teams playing in that position. It's always teams like Alpha 7 and T2K continue to put the pressure in. As soon as you have another team in that area as well, like Wolves and Fireflux currently are, it's basically game over. Neither you can leave. And to win out in this position currently the Fireflux is playing, you need the ability to play space. And with Wolves being on that side, there just isn't any.
When you say Wolves, it is fairly diminished in power there for them. Memory and Beautiful, the two operatives for the squad. Playing as a duo though. Still plenty of opportunity. What have you seen, Blank?
I've seen Inco, next circle, dead centre.
Oh,
It's very Inco-like.
funny that.
Yeah. I mean, I did say at the beginning of the game, you get given the circles, you've got to run with them. So if Inco can translate here, that's all that matters.
IHC find a player from Vampire. Said I wanted to see something from them. It's not going to be this game, Blank. We'll have to wait until tomorrow, see if they can readjust. They have got the night to do so tomorrow morning as well here in Jakarta. Hopefully they get up on the right side of the bed, because they are going to need one hell of a performance if they want a chance for the top. I don't think it's possible at this stage for them. 45 points in 2 days.
Yeah.
They would need to have such a turnaround, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen.
I mean, at this point in time, I don't think they know which side is the wrong side of the bed. They've made a lot of adjustments, nothing seems to be working. They're just going to swing the legs out, pray for the best. Alter down towards that southwest side, Nova very close to them. Nova getting taken out 4v4 versus Alter Ego earlier in this tournament. Again, Alter Ego with their chicken dinner earlier on today. Let's see them 14th place. Still good to see them get some points on the board though.
Top does get knocked, but Pika runs him down. Fireflux out of it, 13th place to finish their day. Potentially to go even lower if Alter Ego and Burudan have a game. Alter Ego, a bit of a challenge from Nova for their position towards the south. Both of whom are going to have to move further in and near to 4 angry men. I don't think Nova really want to go for this engagement, but they might not have a choice in this scenario. Alpha 7 on the northwestern side being hounded and hampered by Demo from IHC. 3 players active for the roster, but only one of them really is the player they're going to be worried about. Go for this res for Revo. Alex moves up to the wall as well. Mafioso already down, and Revo, yeah, he's backed off that res. Drops a smoke. Revo playing 1 versus 3 as a backstop against IHC. Has got backup with sightlines from the other players of Alpha 7, but not really too much to do there. Revo launching these nades. He needs a good knock. That's brilliantly through, but not going to find the knock just yet onto Alex. Managed to get that heel off, and hang on a minute, we tune back on over with Alter Ego as they're taking the fight against Nova. They managed to find 2 knocks. Frozen and Paraboy, though, standing strong. 1 and 2 for Paraboy. This is Nova, but he gets shot down. Potato, the last player standing in a 1 versus 1. It's going to be Frozen to take the challenge. The shots are coming through from across the way, and it's the third party as well. Alter Ego, 4 alive, need to get the reses to stay in, but Nova fall to their blade.
Another time, another result, Alter Ego, the kryptonite for Nova. You wonder if they can even get these reses off with the circle pushing them in, but once again, it's Nova taking a tumble to the masked men of Alter Ego. Alpha 7 similarly also taking heavy casualties. Cannot catch a break today, John.
Alter Ego just trying to move forwards. You can't really do too much on the reses here, so solo play. Wolves careening down the hill. They were a duo for a while, but Memory now left alone. Svan will not let them get this res, you can be sure of that. IHC eliminated in the meantime. Alpha 7 falling. Leaves the number of teams that can hit that top spot to end the day very, very small, with Inco already down 3 players. They're very central, so should be able to get these reses if they play their cards right. S2G want to hold off against that. Now playing on the eastern side, Burudan, their main problem right now. 2 of them, oh sorry, 1 of them.
konten mga yung dang ngena na pango. Nak konten mga yung jaya gindi le yung kolok sa. Ako lebih dah. Pelai game yung jual dong.
So far,
Nak kau lagi jangan gelam ber. Lekor dem.
a lot of teams.
Konten mga yung jangan kape. Konten mga yung jual lu je.
Hangzhou around the side, and Silas is found. Put it out. Sweet
Kalau dia nak
STG.
kau yung ngawin dong. Ngoi ya dengan dia tak kapsul matang malang kayu mana.
And be able to take that spot back.
Jual lu jangan dapat jangan kutakutan ni
The
gitu.
eliminations added on to STG. The placement point will start that up as well.
Aku mau dah mah. Hei, aku minum mula. Gua butuh kau ni bangku mai. Butuh sini mai mai.
Maybe a little bit slower than Nenebete. And the rest of the squad are back to full fighting force. They were down just a
Minum
bit
kita bukan di mute
early
pak dah.
towards Kemen.
Mai kita
Looking
boleh.
to try and play spoiler. Unfortunately, it's just not going to go their way. Players falling left and right around them. They're picking up these points. Lil Boy finds Nenebete, and Becca goes super low. Will get taken down, but these reses can come through unless T2K deal with Wolves early and move in to try and go for this third party rig. Shots over towards Memory, already knocked and beautiful, still going somehow. I thought they were going to be done for near shooting range, but no, they are going to keep on trucking. Put it on the east.
Habis kan nak?
They took care.
Aku ni kami nak timan.
Current
Jual
top
dulu bulu.
dogs.
Ada semua. Apa gunung kau jalan dulu.
Everybody else.
Raz straight through the middle. Beautiful looking to take on the entirety of Buradam. Finally looking to step up just a little bit here. 6 eliminations so far, seeing them pretty on 65 at the moment. A little bit behind Fireflux and STE in 12th and 13th place. Stalwart still in the game, central spot. T2K though, rocking up on Inco as 4. They're split at the moment. This could be great for them.
Already managed to get one flush. Vitali, you do not get this one back. Just squash now remaining, because Becca fell earlier. Nenebete, Rezable, T2K not wanting to cross the road just yet. Don't want to reinvest. Instead, they're going to establish themselves. Godlike Stalwart further south of them. There's a lot of 4-player teams that they need to worry about.
See, still taking shots towards that northern side. A lot of teams aren't really putting a lot of precedent on those compounds anymore. The amount of central shifts we do see towards this end game, towards the late game in stage 6, stage 7, stage 8. It's likely at some point it will head back down over towards Stalwart, barring some crazy shift, but that's it. Down towards 4 AM, but at Am and Stalwart. Inco will have to leave, so will T2K. Still a decent result for Inco. Towards that top 5 once again.
Godlike Stalwart really with a chance to get themselves in the game. Inco still a little bit lacking to take that top spot back from S2G to end their day. But either way, they will be right in that conversation for tomorrow, Blank. It's going to be real tight at the top.
Yeah,
it's all but done here. T2K rolling on around now, want to take this fight. They paused it for a while. They allowed Inco to get back to full HP, but now they have shots through the windows from across the road and nades pouring in on the close range from the duo that they sent through. Rig on the back with 2 nades in pocket. Legend launching them in. Hopefully looking for the golden arm there. Wants to put another in the windows. Nenebete playing on that ground floor. Top floor position as well. Looks like Godlike Stalwart might have some angles onto the outside here. So T2K do need to be a little bit careful. They can't really afford to push too hard, but unless they're going to commit, there's already a knock onto their back line, and they do need to slow things down just that little bit. Godlike Stalwart making this really tricky.
T2K wants to leave this position, but Inco knows just the same. They can stall this out for a long while, potentially even get a 4th place off the back of this one. Nenebete has to pull out something big, but the drop shot isn't quite there.
How on earth did he manage to hold that one out? The push is good. Nenebete able to play around perfectly. And Squash looks for a second. T2K faltering. A third goes down, and it's just Jane. It was all in the palm of their hand, and it slipped away. Inco playing as smoke, so difficult to catch. You just can't contain it. They rack up points, they move further in and deeper towards the top. They will try and fling themselves up to try and overtake S2G, but Squash going down leaves just Nenebete, a powerful player, sure. But what can he do from here? With nades pouring over the top, you've got to imagine this is going to be close to it for him.
Jane looking for that revenge. That last bit of redemption he can give for the rest of his team. Already picked up Squash, should have sightlines down towards Nenebete. That's Legend going down to the play zone, and Jane will have to move out from that outpost soon. Nenebete dropped a lot of smoke, so we'll keep him in cover for a while, but Jane's got nothing left. It's not spraying in the right direction, and somehow, some way, Inco gives him the Uno Reverso.
Four teams alive, rather, 13 players. And Inco have picked up a whole bunch of points for their position. Nenebete, a star from the Brazilian region, giving them such a platform to play from. But now has it all to do against three squads. Needs to play them against each other masterfully. It's the only way this happens. The circle does go a little bit his way. Buradam rolling straight on in and out into the open field. They might just get cut down here. And with any luck, Nenebete will be able to pick up one or two of them as well. Nenebete, he turns it on! And Tiger falls as well. He's going to get shot out by the rest of Buradam, but he has cover from the range, and there's no way that they can push him with Godlike Stalwart right above him.
Only one first aid kit, but Nenebete's held his own, and 7 eliminations. Inco going much further. This is an incredible turnout for Nenebete. Once again, this is what he was always known for. These endgame pushes as a solo player. Like you said, have to play each team off one another, pretend he's not there, act like the mosquito in the mist.
Nade long from 4 Angry Men, but Sky Only is not playing on the rock, nor the burnt out buggy. Nenebete will have to move from his stronghold that he's managed to establish so far. Doesn't have too much time to play with. Action, shots over towards Span, tags one, and a lot of damage found. Unfortunately, he's not going to get the knock for them, but will pause on everything else. Nenebete now having to move. There is no other option. 4 teams remain. Maybe a miracle can happen, but you've got to imagine it's just not really very likely, even for a player like Nenebete. Managed to get a bit of a resupply going. Dropping it through. Smokes are there. Has got first aids back on board with a resupply. Does not have much to operate with. 2 smokes do bloom, and he moves on up the roadside a little bit closer to Godlike Stalwart.
And nades as well, he keeps on throwing them. You can say anything about Nenebete, but say that he's determined. This is very good stuff. The fact that he carries on going, takes a bit more damage. Well, first aid kit, that one up. I think that's the last one left for him.
No, he's got 2 more behind actually there. He managed to get that resupply.
Might just be able to get in the circle here, you know, John.
The player that rocked up does need to shimmy a little bit further. You can see he's being ticked pretty heavily. There is a vehicle there that he can use as cover. Godlike Stalwart will have to be careful. 4 Angry Men have shots out that way, and finally Kengzo puts a stop to Nenebete's run. With 3 teams remaining now, we are into double-digit placement points. Godlike Stalwart, 4 Angry Men, and Buradam, who needed a strong performance. You said you wanted it. Max said he wanted it. This is a team that has shown up before. With 2 players, can they do it again?
Kengzo was just so good, but Stalwart rocking up on top of 4 AM, who have an absolute stalwart hold over on this side. 1 casualty down, and it looks like Buradam's going to go for the third party, the massive third party, the Molotov. Everybody's burning. There's so many nades. Now just Good Xiao left remaining. 1 from Stalwart, 1 from 4 AM, and Buradam's looking to close this out.
They might be able to just move through with a duo. Top launches another nade, wants to pinch away the points if he can. Ching Chen going low with the bleed out. Good Xiao so low to it, but Sky Only is close. Wants to put the Molotovs in, but I think that might have dropped short. Down go 4 Angry Men, and now 2 versus 1. Godlike Stalwart picked up a load of those points, but 10 eliminations for Buradam. A chicken dinner at this juncture could put them back in the running if they can keep it together. 1 player now left. Top looking for the res onto action. In comes the roll down for Kengzo. Crashes into the vehicle, launches a teammate high, and Kengzo's good for 1. Top now, 1 versus 2, into the upside down vehicle.
He's in
they
it.
spray around it. Kengzo, does he spot it? He does! And it is Buradam to light it up for the last game of day 2.
Top trying to pull out the cheekiest move we've seen all tournament, as he's upside down like a bat in there, but Buradam did not bat an eye themselves to just take him down instantaneously. What a third party coming through from them. Excellently played. They bided their time so well during that game and struck at the opportune moment. 4 AM. They were really living on the wire for such a long time there. Again though, a strange storyline comes out from this. Buradam's super happy with this. Inco, I really think they could have took that chicken dinner. Again, that proactivity was there, but in the weirdest of fashions, John. If you look towards that end game, they were all 4 in one side of the building. And then, in the weirdest turns of events, they go 2-2 in the late game. This is the complete opposite of how they should have played this out. They should have been 2-2 towards those first 15 minutes and then recoalesce towards the end. The fact that they did that allowed T2K to come in, take down 2 of their players, and from there it was really awkward. And with the way that they dealt with a lot of T2K, you feel like if they were in a 4-man roster all in one building, they would have easily punched back against T2K and maybe even got themselves a chicken dinner, which would have sent themselves very, very comfortably into tomorrow.
They could have had a chance, maybe, but it was not to be this time around. Instead, Buradam, take it home. We're going to head back to the analyst desk.
Seen Buradam actually taking home a win in what almost seemed like a lost game in the midst of it. They lost 2 players on a very interesting rotate against Nenebete, and then they somehow bring it back with that incredible push from Kangzo. Any words, Max?
I was this close. Alex, this close to giving up, but this is finally the games that I wanted. They had such a good breach towards the mid-game too, onto the eastern side. I forgot on which team that actually ended up being, but that was a position that just gave them so much comfort, so much just extra protection over on the eastern edge. And then that third party, Kengzo, full send, he's like, this is our one opportunity, because otherwise it's a 2v4, v4, they're not going to win it. That third party was key for them to steal away that chicken dinner.
And I'm glad that they didn't second guess themselves. I'm glad that they didn't think about it for too long. They just kind of went for it. And this is what we've been expecting out of this team. I mean, I feel like we expected this team to be in the first stage yesterday. And it was a big shock for us to be able to see them before this match in 15 plays. Hopefully this is going to be the turning point for them. Remember, if for some reason you didn't get a chance to watch the group stages, they did come out first out of their group. And for their performance that we've been seeing so far, it just wasn't it.
In their group full of veterans when it comes to PMGC too, like just been there year after year after year. I was a little bit surprised, but you know what? They got themselves the chicken dinner. It's going to help them climb up in the rankings and put them potentially even in the race if they keep it up.
Are we going to stretch it there? You know what? With that performance, they did have over 10 eliminations. I think they might actually put themselves into contention to at least a top 5.
Let's look at some of the highlights. And honestly, I can't wait for us to just get to Kengzo in that endgame. His confidence to take the vehicle, pull up to the ridge line, not even wait for his teammate. That's the crazy part. Not even wait for his teammate and just get out and shoot everyone. Absolutely absurd. That's the breach that I was originally talking about. That is where I thought it was going to fall apart. And that 4 AM with a similar situation, just different team, also having lots of trouble.
Wow, Kengzo, those peaks above it. And no, this is not Stranger Things, okay? No upside down allowed, apparently, for Godlike Stalwart, and they do himself shut down by the end there by Kengzo with the MG3, and not much can really do against an MG3 at that kind of range, but hey, Stalwart, still get himself some second places.
I love that he tried, though. I love that he tried the upside down.
I
love that he tried to be creative.
Like, your phone's like, your gyro, you're like, whoa, yeah, what's going on? I don't know.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Yeah. That's the second time we did.
Oh, man.
Coming back to a team that both of you actually, you were talking about maybe performing a little bit better today, which is Goblike Jonathan. Finally, it did happen. Not only good circle, but also they made a lot out of it. Just in that very late game scenario, it didn't quite work out. Either way, they still stay in the race as well.
Yeah, I think that with these 2 last performances, they put themselves in a decent position to end this second day of play. The thing is, we need to see. I know I'm saying this quite a bit for quite a few teams, like for Buradam, and it's the case also for Godlike Stalwart. Okay, we need to see more tomorrow. We cannot see this be their one flash in the pan for these grand finals, unfortunately. We need to see just. I would like to see a Godlike Stalwart chicken dinner, which we have not seen yet. And seeing their aggressive nature, we saw in these last few matches now. I think it could happen, but we'll see if they can try and transfer this kind of hype we had on these last 2 matches in tomorrow's 6 games.
I'm so glad you mentioned their aggression, because we have seen a change in that. We were talking about how they were a little bit passive. They were second-guessing themselves yesterday, and they just weren't the godlike Stalwart that we're used to seeing. Today we were actually getting flash, especially these last 2 matches. And like you guys were saying, they finally stepped it up, and they stepped it up at the right time. And with those 2 back-to-back good performances, I think it's going to leave a lot to be desired to see what they're going to be doing tomorrow in the first game.
Talking about what they're going to do tomorrow, one team I really want to highlight that completely shine throughout this day once again is 4 AM. Sure, they didn't have that massive game that maybe some of us were hoping for, but they are so consistent time and time again. Just like last game. Again,
exactly.
You see them always in the midst of it and always racking up points.
I mean, the last game, right, we had so many teams that were trying to fight for that high ground position on the west. You had yourself your Nova that ended up going down to Alter Ego. Then there's so much space that was created. They're like, we want to take that position, clear all the teams over to the west, and if you do so, gather information. And in a position where you have not a lot of good hiding spots, you know exactly where almost every single opposing team are going to be standing at that point, and that's what enabled them to get a good rotation until Star Wars just like got really aggressive, as we said, apparently, to then just full sent it, and it worked out, and the third party just made it a little bit weird to deal with.
Yeah, and for me, I'm actually going to kind of stay away from 4 Angry Men, all right, just for a second, because I want to talk about Inco Gaming. I want to talk about what Blank was saying, and I feel like it was just spot on. It's something that you were talking about as well. That split at the end of the game, it made absolutely no sense. And I think it kind of goes back a little bit to what we were saying earlier, too, of were they just getting blessed with circles and just taking full advantage whenever they were blessed with circles?
Yeah. Actually, that's interesting, because we were talking about them, what can they do if the circle's not coming their way? Here, the circle was kind of going away from them, and it's not the best execution on that side, because they had, as you said, 4 players on that side. They did split. After, I gotta say, full respect to Squash and Inhibite, they completely outdone my expectations, almost kind of, because my expectations were they're just going to lose all their players, while teams like T2K are going to be breaching on their location. I think also, there's another team that came on their location eventually, but they held strong as a duo, which is very impressive, but you got to do the duos, those splits at the right time, and in that case, that was not the right time.
Especially not at that late of the game.
20 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah, and I do love when they went to showcase. And I mean, he showcased that today was his day, right? Yesterday, we didn't really get a chance to even talk about them. We're just talking mostly about Vitaly. Today, we actually get a chance to talk about it. And by the way, the molly that he threw into the smoke and then went up the stairs and set up the other player perfectly to just run into it, and then it made it an easy elimination for them. Those are the little things that showcase that this team can possibly end up winning the grand finals of PMGC, but I'm just not sold on him, and I'm not just sold on it because of little mistakes like they just showcased in the last match.
Let's look at some of the match rankings from game number 6, and to no surprise, we will see one team up there with plenty of points being racked up, and that is, of course, Buriram United. 27 total points in just game number 6 for today, and they needed that. My goodness, did they need that.
Yeah, I do wonder on the overall rankings, though, where that's going to be potentially leading them. That's going to be a pretty interesting one, though. Nova, a little bit lower there. They encountered Alter Ego, and their ego has been a little bit shattered after that fight, I do believe, but it's going to be a-okay. They're still looking in a comfortable position in the rankings as of right now, but unfortunately, one thing that did come to realization to me after today's matches is the Fire Flux, outside of that one big win yesterday, that one good game today that didn't result even in a win, that's it. They're just a flash in a pan team. They're just that one-shot performance, and other than that, just absolute silence, sounding like crickets.
There you go. And I'm with you with Fireflux. I mean, we were talking about it. We were talking about, I mean, you at one point had them on top 5, and with the way they're currently playing, I just don't see that happening. Hopefully, stuff will change for tomorrow, but I don't even think it's going to be enough with the way they just haven't been consistent at all. I mean, 4 Angry Men, you saw them there as well. And now as we go to the overall ranking, Inco Gaming, 125 points, maintaining that first place. This is what I was talking about. I wanted to see how they were going to be able to bounce back.
Just behind them, 123 points is S2G, who also picked up 4 points in that last game. Alpha 7 and 109 points. DRS, who also only picked up a single point in the last game on 102. And then there's Nova, which is really interesting in the last game as well, right, Max?
Yeah, very interesting for Nova, of course, still going to be remaining in that top 5 position. Got to say, Powerboy definitely, did see that comeback happening, and it did look really good for today. But I do want to paint a very interesting picture here. Top 3 teams, all Western teams. You got yourself Inco